According to the Centers for Disease Control, in 2008, more than 616,000 people died of heart disease. That's 25% of all deaths in that year. That's 1 in every 4, and that's in the United States alone. The issue, however, is so much more than heart disease. According to Livestrong.com, in 2005, Americans ate on average 800 calories more than their counterparts did in 1965 per day. If one is not informed of what they are consuming, then they are more than likely unknowingly eating things that are not healthy for them or their families or friends. One should be able to eat something and to know that it's healthy, know that it's not poisoning their body. So how do I know what I'm talking about? Well, my mother is a nurse. Ever since I was little, almost everything that we've eaten in my house has been organic or free range. She's been preaching to us ever since we were babies the ills of consuming foods that contain harmful chemicals and that are processed, packaged, and consumed weeks and even months in certain cases later. So how am I going to explain all of this to you? Well, firstly, I'm going to explain the importance of this issue, why you should care about your health. Secondly, I will point out some of the things that people should look for whenever they're in grocery stores or whenever they're going out to eat in order to keep themselves healthy. And finally, I will propose a solution. So this brings me to my first point. Americans are dying earlier and earlier every year. We haven't seen yet the major impact of the fast food industry and of the industry moving more toward genetically altered and genetically engineered foods. We won't see that for 20 or 30 years because the generation that's older now, that is starting to die now, they weren't introduced to that at the time that we were, at the age that we were. People are blindsided by the whirlwind of choices that are available to them by doing a task so simple as going grocery shopping, and they are led to believe that what they are eating is healthy. Most of the choices, however, inside of a grocery store are not healthy. You're led to believe that they are, but unfortunately they are not. The meat that you purchase is genetically altered. The Oreos that you buy from the store contain genetically altered wheat and lactose. So I'm going to be talking a lot about genetically engineered and genetically altered foods, so I should probably explain a little bit about what they are. Well, genetically altered foods and genetically engineered foods are foods that have been, well, genetically altered. They've been altered some way through chemical synthesis. Let's take a cow, for example. The biology of a cow is that it is built to eat grass. However, we, with our wonderful science and technology, have taken a cow and have made it capable of eating things like corn and wheat and grains. Those things that were not, that a cow used before all of the technology and science that we have now, before it could not digest. Now that's all that they eat because it is cheaper and it can grow faster than grass, a cow's natural food source. And therefore farmers can have higher yields with their cattle. So these are obviously alarming facts, but now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty of the issue. What you buy at the grocery store is not what you think that it is. Nothing, and I repeat, nothing at McDonald's or really any other fast food restaurant that you go to is healthy. Not even the apples or salads. McDonald's salads use fattening dressings, genetically engineered lettuce, and have high amounts of fructose. Fructose. That's sugar in a salad. Leave it to McDonald's, of course. Those apples that you eat, those caramel apple dippers that you feed your kids, that's genetically engineered also. So, let's take an apple, for example. One of the processes that we use to process foods is to grow an apple inside, not outside, not on an apple tree. It's grown inside of a factory somewhere. And all of this is controlled by really two major corporations, really, Monsanto and Tyson. 90% of the world's food supply, 90% of the world's food supply is controlled by two major corporations. That's not right. So let's take this apple, for example. What we're going to do, we're scientists for a second, and we're going to theoretically take a syringe and we're going to just suck all of the nutrients out of this apple. And we're going to inject it with chemicals that'll make it last longer, with chemicals that'll make it taste better. Chemicals. That doesn't sound natural, does it? No, because it's not. We're going to inject it with these things, and then we're going to take the nutritional value of the apple, the vitamin C and everything else, and we're going to just push it right back into that apple. Does that sound healthy? No, it doesn't. And yet that's what food companies are doing. They are taking the nutrition out of food items and then putting it back in so that it will last longer. It will have a longer shelf life. Yes, it's good for economics, but it's not good for you. And that's what should matter. Let's take another example of an extremely popular item, margarine. It's a popular replacement for butter, but margarine is one molecule away from being plastic. One molecule. How often do you eat plastic? Exactly, you don't, because it's not healthy for you. This is according to Snopes.com. That soft, creamy stuff that you eat, that you put on your corn, you put on your popcorn, whatever, you use it in your cookies. It's essentially plastic. So, can you still believe that it's not butter? I sure can. So, finally, I'm going to propose a solution. Being healthy is not easy. For some people, it's about looking good. Other people just don't care. You don't have to run 5 miles every day to stay healthy. What you have to do is look for things like whole wheat, or things that are not genetically altered. Look for things that are organic or free range. Those are ways to stay healthy. Avoid eating fast food as much as possible. It is really, really important if you want to have a long lifespan. In conclusion, you can see that Americans obviously need to change their diets. Though few people realize that the food choices that Americans make each and every day are not only causing them to gain weight, but are in fact poisoning their bodies slowly and surely. So let's review. I explained that this is a very important issue. If Americans don't watch what they eat, then they will start dying earlier and earlier every year. Secondly, I described what to look out for, things like high amounts of fats, sodium, and sugars, and at all costs avoid things that are genetically altered or genetically engineered. Finally, I propose a solution. Exercise is great, but you can look for things like whole wheat pasta instead of Nutri-Grain pasta to keep you and your family healthy. Thank you.